Rab, an island in Croatia which tries to prepare itself for hyperinflation. Recently, the first people started to accept Bitcoin.
We have the best coffee in town and we are accepting Bitcoin.
Pretty new for you, right?
Yeah, it's new. I'm new to Bitcoin, but I'm very exciting learning and accepting Bitcoin. My friend introduced me with Bitcoin and I will start learning.
This is like the Bitcoin coffee right now. When did you start accepting Bitcoin?
1 month ago.
1 month ago, and he's stacking hard, guys. While talking to people in Rab, I had a realization. Way too many people still believe that Bitcoin is a scam and that we try to educate people for selfish or even financial reasons. But all of them are wrong. The truth is far more profound.
Last 2 months, inflation is higher and higher. All my ingredients went up with price.
Of all the economic crises a country can face, inflation is the most dangerous. Inflation doesn't just make people poor, it totally destroys their confidence in their leaders, the authorities who issued the now worthless currency they're using for toilet paper.
So, what exactly is inflation? Inflation is a complicated phenomenon with many factors. But if we boil it down, inflation means an overall rise in prices. Often an external event like war, an uprising, or a global pandemic starts everything. A government will fund its crisis response with debt which it cannot afford to service and will print more and more money to make up this difference. This leads to prices which rise exponentially, and the governments usually print more money to try to counter those effects. But it all becomes a vicious cycle. Inflation and even hyperinflation can be scary for those who haven't experienced it before. But there are some recent examples that can help us understand and prepare. So far, all of government-issued currency has collapsed or have been replaced completely. Weimar Germany experienced hyperinflation. 1 dozen eggs cost a half Reichsmark in 1918, 3 Reichsmark in 1921, but then 2 years later, 4 billion Reichsmark. Hungary, Yugoslavia, Zimbabwe, Lebanon and Venezuela all experienced similar hyperinflation once the government started printing money. The destructive force of inflation becomes obvious as soon as a little inflation turns into a lot of inflation. When hyperinflation hits, people are incentivized to spend the devaluing currency into anything that is a better store of value. As the inflating currency falls apart, it will fail to store value over time, and people will rush to get their hands on any goods which might do. For example, it's probably better to buy a couch and store your value in it than in the currency. Another consequence of hyperinflation is that all the money which people have saved will effectively vanish. This is a systemic problem, which makes it nearly impossible for individuals to move the needle, and ultimately, you can't really fight hyperinflation. The best you can do is adapt and avoid its effects as much as possible. But surely this can't happen in your country, you're thinking, right? Well, sorry to tell you, but since 2020, the US has printed nearly 80% of all US dollars in existence. And yep, the money printer surely makes brrrr. And that's exactly why I want to educate as many people as possible about Bitcoin and get them on board. First of all, it's important to understand that Bitcoin has a capped supply of 21 million coins. If we compare this to the fiat system, the dollar, the euro, or any other government-issued currency doesn't have a capped supply. So the central banks can basically print as much as they want. Let's imagine there is $100 million in circulation and you own 1 million. I know that's a lot, but just as an example. You basically own 1% of the overall money supply, right? Now that central banks are able to print as much money as they want, basically what's happening is the money supply expands. So they're printing another $100 million in existence. What now changes is that your percentage of the overall money supply decreases. So now you only own 0.5%, which will diminish your purchasing power. Not immediately, but slowly over time. If we compare this to Bitcoin, where we have a limited supply of 21 million coins, and you own the one coin, you basically have a percentage of the network which no one can deplete, which is basically the first money which can't be inflated by human beings. And it's not about getting rich quick with Bitcoin, right? All I'm talking about is in very long time frames. Inflation always starts pretty small, and a lot of people don't even realize that their purchasing power gets diminished. Just remember how much your ice cream cost when you were a child, right? This is inflation, guys. We saw in the history lesson of inflation that it can happen pretty rapidly at some point. It's not about timing it right, it's just about saving yourself and hedging this moment in advance. Because once the inflation runs out of control, there is no going back. And that's why we as Bitcoiners try to explain Bitcoin to everybody. Life is funny. So I just met the radio host of Radio Rab. Today we're gonna orange pill some people. That's a radio station. You don't need a bank, you don't need any service in between, it's just us with QR codes. That's basically the technology. We were actually talking about Bitcoin.
Also, what we talk about, it's internet speed here on Rab. We have optical network across the island, so it's good to live here.
Yeah, come here. As I said, the internet is good, the radio is good, and the people are very nice. So yeah, thank you again.
See
you. I was orange pilling them hard, guys. I hope I managed to orange pill at least one person. I tried to do my best. I was talking about the vlog. It was a lot of fun, to be honest. And now I'm super famous, guys. Whew. Wow. This is still in the beginning of the process, and we need to start this process, guys, because if we don't do it, no one's gonna do it, right? So let's hope that soon on Rab there's gonna be more and more infrastructure being built, and we need you for that, guys. If you wanna help out, please reach out to Pavao. I'm gonna link them down below. This is an effort which we need all to be involved, right? Everybody's gonna suffer from inflation if we don't take precautions now, and that's why the plebs are together strong. And actually I'm not in Rab anymore. I moved countries and there are new episodes coming up, and I'm very excited to show you where I am, and see you in the next video, guys.